What's up everybody, it's RobinGaming here. So Watch Dogs came out last week and the whole discussion around it has been very controversial. I think, to be honest, it's quite funny because look, I hate admitting or saying that I was right or something, but back in 2012 when Watch Dogs was announced, people were acting like Jesus Christ was gonna land on Earth or something. Like, I don't know what that was, but everybody was like, this is gonna be the first true next-gen game. And from that very first moment that we saw it, I think, you know, I've just said that I've always thought it was gonna be a great game. Look, it's gonna be awesome. I know, you know, Ubisoft only puts out great open world games. They learn from their own games like Far Cry and Assassin's Creed, and they put those elements into their new IPs and stuff. And I'm sure Watch Dogs is gonna be a great game, I've said from that moment on, pretty much. But at the same time, I never expected this to be anything groundbreaking or, you know, as awesome as people were making it up to be. I just never really thought it was going to be that. And now it's 2014, the game came out, everybody seems to be complaining about it because it did not live up to the hype. And I was never part of that hype. I never thought like that Watch Dogs was gonna be like that it was gonna be so special. And to be honest, the game has actually surprised me. You know, I'm seeing so many comments right now from people hating on it, and I think that is totally unjustified. And yeah, I think the game deserves better than that, because I've been playing it now for a week. I put about probably, you know, 20 or 30 hours into it, and I've really enjoyed myself. I think it is better than what I actually expected. So yeah, I mean, I won't be going too in depth on all the you know, on all the different aspects, because the game is quite big and I wouldn't want this review to be too long. But yeah, let's just start off with the story. I said it, I think, a few weeks back when I did my kind of like preview video. I said that the story was going to be probably the only part of it that could really surprise me, and unfortunately the story isn't really that good. It started out pretty good, I thought. Like, I was pretty surprised actually at the beginning, because Aiden turned out to be a guy who does like have a family, and who does seem to there seemed to be some kind of story around it where his niece died and you had a sister, and the sister had a son and stuff, and you cared, you know, I wouldn't say you cared too much about them, but it was pretty interesting to me, you know. But then the game kind of like went downhill, and the middle part was very long without any real stuff happening, and it kind of doesn't just become a story about revenge, but more a story about trying to rescue someone. I won't spoil who or something, but yeah, I mean, the game just went downhill, and then at the end it went back up a little bit again, and got me interested in it again. But I never thought the story was quite interesting or something. I do think it was probably slightly better than Infamous Second Son story, to compare it to another open world game. Yeah, you know, that's just a shame. I wanted this game to have a good story. Unfortunately, it didn't have that. So then the presentation, so many people are complaining about this, how it doesn't even look that great. And look, to be quite honest with you, I think the game looks great. You know, I think it's pretty much comparable to Infamous Second Son on the graphical level, probably slightly worse. The game is 30 frames per second. That's a bit of a shame, but I never really cared too much about you know, frame rate and resolution or whatever. Look, the game just looks very good, and I think the city is very well built. All these people there, it feels like a very, you know, living city, and I think it might even be better than what GTA did, GTA 5. I remember playing that game on my PS3 and I wasn't too impressed, even though I really like GTA 4. But yeah, also with GTA, you know, I just stopped playing it after I beat the story, and that wasn't the case with Watch Dogs. I'm actually enjoying that game more than I enjoyed GTA 5. But yeah, to keep it to the presentation, I think, you know, the world in itself is very well built. There's so many different areas and buildings, and there's a lot of variety there. I really like it. I like how it looks. City of Chicago is not something we see a lot in games, but once again, I was really happy with it. So the gameplay in Watch Dogs, I think, is actually, yeah, that's probably the part that surprised me the most, because most open world games don't really have that good good gameplay, you know, like precise shooting mechanics or something. The hacking stuff that's in there is not that special. It's just press a button and something will happen, and you have traffic lights that you can hack, or bridges, or whatever. Just, you know, one press of a button will activate it, stuff will happen. It looks pretty cool at first, but, you know, after that you just use it sometimes to like yeah, kill enemies or something, or just lose them, you know, lose the police or whatever, shake them off. But yeah, in the end, that's not really I said that from the beginning. That was that one thing I mentioned where I didn't really expect this to be too groundbreaking. The hacking gameplay is nothing more than just a little nice addition, but the game definitely feels more like a third-person shooter than a game about hacking. You know, I have to be very honest there. And the third-person shooting aspect feels very good. I think, you know, the controls are pretty precise. You have this bullet time mode, slow motion, kind of like Max Payne style, and it just feels very satisfying to do that. Now the story in itself takes about 20 hours to beat, I would say, which is, you know, twice as long as Infamous Second Son. That was really my complaint about that game, how it was so short, and then afterwards there wasn't really that much to do. With Watch Dogs, I kind of feel the same. After the story, you know, there are a lot of side missions, different things that you can do. You know, you can, like, you have these, you know, typical type of contracts or gang hideouts where you have to take over these zones, kill people, some racing challenges, I think, or whatever. But it's only pretty much 3 or 4 types of missions that you can do, and I find that such a shame. You know, Infamous had that too, and I'm just like, couldn't they, within the 4 years that they made this game, couldn't they have thought of different missions that you could do so they could keep the variety there, really? Like, only 3 or 4 things that you do all the time just gets really boring after a while. That's a shame. There is very much to do, so if you are a completionist and you do, you know, really wanna do all that stuff, then yeah, you'll be busy for 10 or 20 more hours for sure. But yeah, I mean, that's definitely really it. You know, 20 hours of story and then maybe 10 or 20 more hours of side missions, then you're pretty much done. Finally, there's the multiplayer I want to talk about, and I never expected this to really be that good, but I honestly have enjoyed myself more than I thought at first. There's around 6 different modes that you can do. You know, one is like a typical car race with 2 to 8 players. You have free roaming, you have tailing people, which I don't think is that interesting. Mobile challenges or something, haven't even tried that, don't think it's gonna be that great. And of course, typical team deathmatch. But the 1v1 hacking, I never thought that was gonna be as fun as it is. But it makes for some really hilarious moments when, you know, you have to hack someone, then you have to pretty much hide. And the enemy has around, you know, 5 minutes or something to find you. You simply have to hide, wait it out. The zone where the enemy should look in becomes like smaller and smaller until it's like super small, and you know, you really feel like you're gonna get caught. The enemy is walking all around you, and sometimes when he just doesn't find you, it's absolutely, it's so much fun. I actually used yeah, a bit of gameplay of that in my video where the same stuff happened, and you'll see how you know, how cool it is. So to finish it off, I really don't want to bring Watch Dogs down. You know, I see so many people complaining about it. I don't think the game deserves that, to be quite honest. It is still a really solid game that's a lot of fun, and I think you'll just enjoy yourself for a good, you know, amount of hours, 20 or 30 hours, you know, until you're done with the game. But then again, with the PS4 right now, for example, there's just not a lot to play, and I recommend this to anyone who is a fan of sandbox games. I enjoyed this game more than I enjoyed GTA 5, which I found to be quite surprising, and the game actually is better than I expected. I know disappointed a lot of people, but you shouldn't have had those expectations in the first place, to be quite honest. So remember that tomorrow I'll have my Ubisoft E3 preview up, because I'm doing daily videos this entire week, of course. And then for now, that was it. I give Watch Dogs an 8.5 out of 10, and then I thank you a lot for watching, and hope to see you again next time.